I've been saying for a long time that the Chicago Bears were the most fraudulent team in the entirety of the NFL, and that I didn't believe that they were going to be able to continue to win at the level with which they had won. And I feel like last night we learned, at least for this game, that I was correct, because the Bears were absolutely taken care of. There was just not a lot of reason to be optimistic about this Bears team based on what happened. The Rams got out to a 24-3 lead. They never were significantly challenged, and as a result, the rich get richer, unfortunately, which is the NFC West, which was already the best division in all of sports. It continues to get even better, and as a result, we've got a situation where the Bears are being exposed a little bit. And if you're wondering, and you may remember that the Bears' only touchdown came on a scoop and score by Eddie Jackson. Right now, all four teams in the NFC West have a positive point differential, okay? Comparing that with the NFC East, every team in the NFC East has a negative point differential. No other division in sports, not in the AFC, not in the NFC, in the world of football right now, none of them have as stark of a difference as what is going on in the NFC East and what is going on in the NFC West. You could make a strong argument that all four of the NFC West teams deserve to be in the playoffs. It's almost impossible to have that happen. It could, theoretically, right, I think happen because we expanded to 7 playoff teams now. So you could end up theoretically in a scenario, the math would be tough to pull off, but you could theoretically end up in a scenario where you have 4 teams from the NFC West get in, and then each of the teams that win their division in the NFC South, the NFC North, and the NFC East all get in. I believe my math is correct there, but it's highly unlikely it happens. It certainly is possible, however, if you look at this schedule and you look at this and you look at these different breakdowns, you could end up with 3 out of the same division, and certainly the NFC West would be the favorite. So, big win for the Rams, further cementing their status as a team to be reckoned with. Who knows who's going to end up winning the NFC West? We saw a spectacular Sunday night football game with the Seahawks losing in overtime to the Cardinals, and now we see another good NFC West performance as we get a Sean McVay win. Jared Goff plays well. It was just a pretty thorough beatdown that was delivered by the NFC West team as we look forward, all right? So, with that in mind, now that we have completed the NFL Week 7, I will give you my top 5, and later on in the show, in the third hour, I will give you my bottom 5, the 5 worst teams in the NFL. But I want to start with the top 5 right now. I want to break them down for you. I will explain why these are the 5 best teams in the NFL. And we start as the best team in the NFL. I'll work my way down from number 1. The best team in the NFL right now, and I don't think there's any doubt at all about it, is the Steelers. Steelers are 6-0. I know that Steven Gostkowski has to make that field goal and put the game into overtime against the Steelers. The Titans blew it. As a result, the Steelers get to 6-0. They have beaten in back-to-back weeks a 5-2 team in the Cleveland Browns and a 5-0 team in the Tennessee Titans. And right now, both the Titans and the Browns would be in the AFC playoffs. So I am here to tell you that the best team in all of the NFL, to the victor goes the spoils. I've got the Steelers at 6-0 as the best team. Second best team, maybe a little bit controversial because of the fact that they've lost 2 games. But I think the second best team in the NFL right now, when you look at offense and defense and match them together, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's team is playing lights-out football right now. I know they lost to the Bears on what feels like forever ago on a Thursday night, but they have bounced back with 2 straight wins since then, both in dominant fashion, both over pretty good teams. The Packers aren't awful. The Bucks beat them like a drum. And the Raiders are not awful either. In fact, they beat the Chiefs earlier this year, and the Bucks came out, traveled across the country, and beat them pretty solidly too. So I've got the best team, the Steelers, second best team, the Bucks. The third best team right now, based on what we've seen on the field, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are sitting, I believe, at 6-1, if I'm not mistaken, and they are going to be, I believe, into the Super Bowl. If I were picking right now, the NFC team is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The AFC team is going to be the Chiefs. They play to their level of competition a little bit, the Chiefs do. But when you're the defending Super Bowl champ, you kind of anticipate that things may not go flawlessly for the Chiefs because they know they're so much better than everybody else. I've got the Chiefs in the 3 spot. Then in the 4 spot, I've got the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans are the 4th best team in the NFL right now. If Gostkowski makes that kick, then I think the Titans get into overtime, and it looks a little bit like what happened with the Arizona Cardinals. The Titans would have been favored. Granted, the coin flip is incredibly important, but I believe the Titans would have been favored to win that game if Gostkowski makes the 45-yard field goal and potentially come back from a 20-point deficit for the first time in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. The challenge here is certainly that the Titans should have never been down 27-7, but how many teams can come back from a 27-7 deficit against a team as good as the Steelers and effectively put that game into overtime? So I've got the Titans in the 4 spot, and then in the 5 spot, I've got the Seahawks. And the reason why I have the Seahawks there is I just don't believe in their defense. Seahawks are 14-3 in their last 17 one-score games. At some point in time, that starts to reverse itself. I think there is a decent chance that the Seahawks don't even win the NFC West. I've got them at the 5 spot. So my top 5 in Outkick after 7 weeks as we near the halfway point of the season: Steelers 1, Bucks 2, Chiefs 3, Titans 4, and the Seahawks in the 5 spot.